Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned into Prime Live. We are on your screens Monday to Friday between the hours of 6 and 8. I know it is about that time of year where everyone is starting to feel the year end slump. But if you are in need of some motivation and inspiration, we do have Mr. Jabu Zwane to help you out. Let's take a look at what Mr. Jabu Zwane has for us today in our Monday motivation.
Yes, good evening and welcome to Monday Motivation. Let me just fix this. There we go. I hope you guys are doing well this evening. Yeah, it's been a long year. Let me just make sure. I'm so sorry about that. I thought I had it right, but it shifted a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning into Monday Motivation. I do apologize for that little bit of technical difficulty. Let me sit more in the middle. There we go. Yes, this is Monday Motivation, and I would like to be talking a little bit to you this evening about just the importance of dealing with with negativity, especially towards the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, we're tired. We've been fighting. We've been trying to win. We've been trying to achieve our goals, and come November, come December, many of us maybe we have not been able to reach our goals. And how do we deal with the negativity? How do we deal with feeling like we have lost? How do we deal with feeling like we have been defeated? That's what I want to share with us this evening. And let's get right into it. Research says this, that 4 out of 5 thoughts are negative. And as I've shared many times before, I don't believe that is because people are negative. I believe that it is actually their brain's way as an intelligence center to say to us, we need to be more careful. We need to have a plan. We need to be strategic. We need to be careful of things that can totally take us out. Because if you're not very careful, some decisions can literally lead to your final hours here on earth. And I believe that's one of the reasons why so much of the brain dedicates most of its intellectual capital, functional capital, towards protecting us. But also another quite interesting fact is the following. I heard the following, that by the time that a child reaches the age of 10, they would have heard no up to 1.4 million times. 1.4 million times a child would have heard no. What that actually says that, in fact, our brains are primed. They're primed to receive no or negativity better than they can receive positivity. And so it's important for us to be mindful of this, because we are more likely to succumb to negativity or to negative energy more than we are to succumb to positive energy. And that is why it's so important that towards the end of the year, as you're reflecting back to the year that was, as you start to contemplate what are you going to do in 2025, to not fall trapped to depression or fall trapped to, discouragement, and find yourself, like many people are at the end of the year, a bit depressed, maybe having some serious mental health struggles. And for that, I've got a little bit of an acronym that I want to share with you guys. And it is really just about resetting our mindsets, especially towards the end of the year. And the acronym itself is RESET. RESET. And really, this hopefully would get us to a point where we don't worry so much about the negativity that we're currently facing, and we start to look more towards the positive things that can be more empowering as we think about the year that almost was and the year that almost is. So the first thing that we all got to do is that we have to recognize and reflect on all our thoughts, especially thoughts that weigh us down. When you think about your life at the moment, what are some of the thoughts that weigh you down? Is it thoughts about money? Is it thoughts about your career? Is it thoughts about family? Is it thoughts about the way that you look at yourself? Is it thoughts about the way that you look at the possibilities and opportunities in the country? Identify what is the source of the thoughts that are negative or the thoughts that are limiting. And then you need to take a pen and paper and write those down. I'm a firm believer in writing stuff down. I always carry with me a little booklet, and I always have multiple pens. I've got pens everywhere in my bags, in the car, in my pockets, in my jackets, because at any given moment, I know that I could be writing stuff down. And especially as a person that gets very easily distracted, I like to write things down. And I like to keep track of the way that I think. It's important to identify what is the source of your negative thoughts? Is it your performance? And so let's say, for example, it's your performance. It may basically mean that you need to work a little bit more on your skills. It may mean that you need to work a little bit more on your practice to improve your proficiencies a little bit. And if that is what it takes, then the next thing you know, with your improved competencies, then you don't have such a negative thought around your performance. So recognize and reflect on the thoughts that are source of negativity. If maybe it's your business partner, or maybe it's your boss, or maybe it's your actually spouse or partner, you might want to manage that relationship, especially if you don't really have a choice and you have to interact with these people all the time. If you keep on taking the negativity, then of course it creates that unfortunate, unbearable, miserable experience where as far as they're concerned. But it's important to know that you can take control on how you respond, and managing how you respond to negativity towards you is crucial. Realizing that people have their own opinion, but don't ever allow anybody's opinion become your own reality, as Les Brown was once told by his coach, Mr. Washington. The second thing is to evaluate and challenge. And so once you've identified those thoughts, it's important to evaluate them and challenge them. If, for example, you have a feeling like, you know what, you'll never succeed in your life, or you have a feeling like, you know what, you're always a failure, or you've got a feeling that things will never work out, it's important to evaluate those thoughts and actually challenge them. Look, there are many things, of course, that we can do absolutely nothing about. But I can tell you this, along with the odds being stacked up against you, you don't want to add on top of that your own negativity, your own perception. You don't want your own mind to be working against you. You want your mind to be the best tool that you've got to enable you to succeed. And one of the ways that you do that is that you give it a mandate. You give it a mandate to challenge thoughts that hold you down, that depress you, that limit you, that disempower you, that disencourages you. And you give it a mandate to have thoughts that encourage you, that empower you. For example, let's say that I'm in, like, I'm working on a deal and the deal doesn't work out. I will sit down and I'll evaluate what could I have done differently. And I'll take down the notes so that I become empowered. So that this way, the next time I have an opportunity to do the pitch again, then I've taken down some lessons. As somebody once said, nothing is ever a waste of time as long as you have an opportunity to learn from it. Nothing is ever a waste of time as long as you've got an opportunity to learn from it. So take opportunity to learn from things that have not worked out. So evaluate and challenge those thoughts. And then the third thing is to set positive intentions, or empowering, or orient yourself to be empowered. And here, basically, what you do is that you choose to focus on what you can do, what can grow, what can be improved, what can develop further, the things that can be able to progress and propel you forward. There are a lot of things, again, that you have no control over. And one of the worst things that you can ever do, especially when you are going through a bit of a hard time, is to also surrender or quit on the things that you've got the power to change. Like, I know if I don't have, let's say, any opportunities to speak, any opportunities to train or to coach anyone, I can improve on my skills. I can write new programs. I can attend networking activities. I can learn a bit more about the industry. I can do a bit more research. So in that time, while I am waiting, I am learning. I'm doing something positive to empower myself so that when the next opportunity does come, I'm ready for that opportunity. So I don't sit around waiting for something to happen. Only when it happens, then I start panicking, running around, trying to figure out what I need to have. So make sure that in that moment where you are waiting, I mean, in the Bible, it speaks about, the place of fellowship. Remember when David was being chased by King Saul? He hung around and he waited in preparation for him to take over the reins as a king. It took him about 13 years to get to that place. So the question that you're going to ask yourself is that whilst you're waiting for your massive opportunity, what are you doing to prepare to ensure that you're ready, you're all set? The last thing that you want to do is become one of those people that we're going to read about or watch on television on I Blew It, or we hear about how you messed up or not taking care of the best opportunity that you've had in your life. So that's RES so far, RSC so far. The next one is a T, which is about take empowering actions. Now, Anthony Robbins speaks about taking massive actions. Sometimes you don't need to take massive actions. Sometimes you just need to take an action. And the action sometimes is a very small step in the right direction. As they always say, the saying, how do you take on a 1,000-mile journey? You take it one step at a time. Or how do you eat an elephant? Which I don't suggest that you should. But if you were to eat an elephant, you would have to eat it one piece at a time, right? So don't ever undermine the day of small things. Don't ever undermine the day of small progresses. Keep track of the small progresses that you are currently making. And of course, prepare yourself then for the giant leaps that you may have to take later on. You see, the thing about practicing taking small decisions is that you're also practicing taking big decisions. I believe that the reason why sometimes people struggle to make those massive important decisions is because they don't learn how to take regular small decisions that may even seem like they're insignificant, right? I'll give a simple example. When I started my social media journey on a certain platform, I could only maybe put up one post once every 2, 3 days. But slowly I learned and I developed a rhythm to the point where it was very easy for me to develop two posts a day, 3 posts a day without too much of an effort. But that is because I took that first step to learn. Excuse me. All right. And then the last thing, I skipped another E, and the other E is that it's embracing new habits, like learning. Oh, sorry, I was itchy there. Learning new habits, and then learning new habits is that. Let me ask this question, Rhonda. When was the last time that you learned anything new? When was the last time that you learned a skill, took on a course, attended some kind of something that is different from what you know, like maybe learned how to sing, how to play a music instrument, maybe you've even learned a language, or maybe you've learned some kind of a technological skill. Like when was the last time that you learned something new? It is important that we get into the habit of learning new things every now and then so that we don't lose our ability to adapt. I don't know what the science is exactly, but I do remember one of the seminars that I once attended, and the speaker was an expert in NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And I was just saying, basically, the more that you're practicing new habits, the more you develop new neuron paths. And then these new neuron paths are crucial for the expansion of your brain because your brain is elastic. And so the more new things you learn, the more that your brain, expands and shrinks. And it keeps your memory sharp. You don't forget very easily. It keeps your cognitive faculties quite sharp and active, which is something that you need, especially when you're performing high tasks that have a higher level of complexity, where you are having to be creative, where you're having to be innovative, where you are having to think outside of the box. And let's be very honest, in this day and age, it is so crucial for us to learn to think outside of the box because change is happening at such a fast rate. And if you're not keeping up with the change, you'll find that you're going to be falling behind. And so for us to just wrap it up again in terms of what we've spoken about tonight, it's important for us to cultivate a mindset that enables us to overcome negativity. Because as we mentioned at the start of the talk today, that science tells us that 4 out of 5 thoughts that we think are very likely to be negative. And I mentioned that it is because it's not so much negativity, but that your brain is smart enough to know that it has to dedicate. It has to dedicate most of its intellectual capital or energy towards solving problems, identifying dangers, and then giving you defensive mechanisms against what is potentially harmful to you. So that's a positive thing. However, if you don't have anything that you are positive about, that you are trying to achieve in life, that can very easily quickly descend into cynicism. It can very easily descend into the constant negativity about life and just being a pessimist. And nobody wants to hang around a pessimist. Nobody wants to hang around a cynic because they are emotionally exhausting, literally energy zappers. So you don't want to be an energy zapper that everybody is avoiding. So in summary, again, let's look at it. Recognize and reflect the source of your negative thoughts. If it's certain relationships, confront those relationships. If it's people that are undermining you, develop communication skills so that you can confront them. And then make it very clear that you would love to have a different relationship experience that doesn't make you feel the way that you're currently feeling, especially if those feelings are negative. Learn those confrontational skills, learn those communication skills so that you can make adjustments as far as that relationship is concerned. And if you are the culprit that is making other people miserable, you have to look yourself in the mirror and start to really work on your own mindset. Secondly, evaluate and challenge. Once you've identified the source, evaluate and challenge those thoughts. And then thirdly, set positive intentions, set positive empowering intentions. There's another verse in the Bible that I love that says that, where the people have no vision, the people perish. And this is not just about the vision that you're currently following, but it's that you as a human being, do you have your own vision? Outside of making money and becoming rich, outside of being young and pretty and tall and all of that and strong because you go in the gym, what is your ultimate vision? And if that vision is only confined to you, it's likely to be a limited vision. If it's broader vision, it is likely to empower you and make sure that you are, that you're ready for more in life. And then, of course, embrace new habits. And then lastly, as I've said, it's important to take those empowering actions. Even though they may be small actions, it's important to take those empowering small actions towards your direction, towards your goal, towards your destination. And hopefully you do have a destination. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. My name is Jabu Zwane. I want to thank you so much for constantly being supporting our show, and get ready to enjoy the rest of your programming. Good evening.